We've got our basic components here. Let's start actually dealing with some state, with some real data, because the whole point of React is to keep our app's internal data in sync with its UI. The data changes, the UI updates on its own. And right now, our only data is inside message list, I think, as just a variable. So this should probably be on the state of some component. Which component do you think should have the list of messages? So part of the question here is how many components or which components need access to that array? And you have to make sure that it's stored in the state of something that is a parent of all of those things, right? So it needs to be at least high up enough in the tree that it can pass it down as props to whoever needs it. So where do you think it should be? So message list, because messages needs it, right? Message list needs it. Message needs it. Anything else need it? Message form needs it, right? Because it needs to be able to add stuff to it. So at least chat, right? So message list needs it, message needs it, but message form also needs it. So that takes us up to at least the level of the chat component. So it can be passed down to both message list and message form. Get it? So both of these components are going to need it, so it has to live at least as high up as chat, because it needs to be able to be passed in as props to both of those. I concur. So in message list, I'm just going to take this array out of here. I'll go ahead and cut it to the clipboard so I can get to it, but not going to define that in here. And up in chat, I need to set state. So luckily it's already a class. So we'll add a constructor. So inside the constructor, we must call super. And then I'll say this.state equals an object. This.state is always an object. And it can have any number of keys in there with whatever values we want. So I will have a key called messages, and that will be the array that I copied out of the other one. I like my trailing comma. So this.state in the constructor equals an object with a property called messages. That is the array that we created earlier. And just so I can be sure this is working when we finally see it in the UI, I'll go ahead and change the messages a little bit. Like username, Eli, body. I too enjoy chatting. To which Dana says, "This guy's so annoying, I hate my job." No, just kidding. She doesn't hate you or her job. I mean, she does, but that's because of me. So don't take it personally. It's just a chat message. It doesn't mean anything. Okay. Yeah. This guy is so hip. I love my job. There we go. Yeah. So then we need it to get down into message list, right? So how do we do that? Props. So let's add a prop to message list called messages. We're going to send all these messages down, right? It needs the whole array. So messages equals what? This.state dot messages. Understand that? So it's on state in chat. It'll be on props inside message list. So we need to change message list accordingly. So message list. Since this is a stateless functional component, we don't have this.props. Instead, our props come in as an argument. So let's make sure to add props to the argument list here. And then where before we looped over a local variable called messages, now we will loop over props.messages. And if all is well, yeah, I too enjoy chatting. This guy's so hip, I love my job. Totally works. Check this out in the React DevTools. Let's look up chat. There's chat. We see state has a messages array. We see that message list has a prop called messages, which is the same array. And we put it up there because sooner or later this is going to have to get into the form. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. Add messages to chat's state.